been definitely acknowledged, and not a little time will pass before that comes about, perhaps even a whole century. And a whole century has passed, so I think we're there. We shall make it our task to see that against us such things as plots shall no longer exist. With this purpose we shall slay without mercy all who take arms in hand to oppose our coming into our kingdom. Every kind of new institution of anything like a secret society will also be punished with death. Those of them which are now in existence are known to us, serve us and have served us. So basically what they're saying, all secret societies that are throughout the world are all known by the Illuminati. They're either set up by them or they work for them. Simple. So it says every kind of new institution of anything like a secret society will also be punished with death. Yes, anyone trying to set up a secret society behind this secret society, they will punish with death. But those that which are now in existence, and those that are in existence that today are known to us, serve us and have served us, we shall disband and send into exile to continents far removed from Europe. In this way we shall proceed with those Goy Masons who know too much. Such of these as we may for some reason spare will be kept in constant fear of exile. We shall promulgate a law making all former members of secret societies liable to exile from Europe as the centre of our rule. It says, among the members of these lodges will be almost all the agents of international and national police, since their service is for us irreplaceable, in the respect that the police is in a position not only to use its own particular measures with the insubordinate, but also to screen out activities and provide pretexts for discontent. And how far-seeing were our learned elders in ancient times when they said that to attain a serious end behoves not to stop at any means or to count the victims sacrificed for the sake of that end. We have not counted the victims of the seed of the Goy cattle, though we have sacrificed many of our own, but for that we have now already given them such a position on the earth as they could not even have dreamed of. The comparatively small numbers of the victims from the number of ours have preserved our nationality and destruction. So like I said, these people will kill their own to further their plans, which is what they've done. We execute Masons in such wise that none save the Brotherhood can ever have a suspicion of it, not even the victims themselves of our death sentence. They all die when required, as if from a normal kind of illness. So if it's from a car accident or poisoning or heart attack or cancer, they've been killed by their paymasters because they've served their purpose. It's time for them to go. Simple. That's what they're telling you. Protocol number 16. In order to effect the destruction of all collective forces, excerpts ours, we shall emasculate the first stage of collectivism, the universities, by re-educating them in a new direction. Their officials and professors will be prepared for their business by a detailed secret program of action from which they will not with immunity diverge, not by one iota. They will be appointed with a special precaution and will be so placed as to be wholly dependent upon the government. It says the abolition of freedom of instruction. It says, we shall erase from the memory of men all facts of previous centuries which are undesirable to us, and leave only those which depict all the errors of the governments of the Goyim. So that kind of makes you think about what happened with Google the other day, where the European court, you know, which is part of the European government, which is the super government, put in a law to say that they can no longer hold people's information on Google for people to search for if those people find it offensive. So in a nutshell, they're kind of saying here, it says, we shall erase from the memory of men all facts of previous centuries which are undesirable to us, and leave only those which depict all the errors of the government of the Goyim. So basically what they say is that anything to do with these devils' history, the Illuminati, the learned elders of Zion, the Masons, and all the rest of these secret societies and these Satanists, yeah, can be removed from the internet, if so be. It says a system of building thought is already at work in the so-called system of teaching by object lessons, the purpose of which is to turn the goyim into unthinking, submissive brutes waiting for things to be presented before their eyes in order to form an idea of them. So is that not what they're doing today? It says the system of building thought is already at work in the so-called system of teaching by object lessons, the purpose of which is to turn the goyim, so I keep saying the goyim means the Gentiles, the rest of the non-Jews, anyone who they consider is not a Jew, into unthinking, submissive brutes, waiting for things to be presented before their eyes in order to then form an idea. Protocol number 17. Advocacy, influence of the priesthood of the goyim, freedom of conscience, papal court, king of the Jews of the patriot pope, how to fight the existing church, functions of contemporary press, organisation of the police, the volunteer police, espionage and the pattern of the Kabul espionage, and abuse of authority. That's what makes up Protocol 17. So once again we'll read a few excerpts from it. We have long past taken care to discredit the priesthood of the goyim, and thereby to ruin their mission on earth, which in these days might still be a great hindrance to us. Day by day, its influence on the peoples of the world is falling lower. Freedom of the conscience has been declared everywhere, so that now only years divide us from the moment of the complete wrecking of that Christian religion. As to other religions, we shall have still less difficulty in dealing with them, but it would be premature to speak of this now. So, well, I mean, I've always said that religion is a fallacy anyway, all man-made. So they're going to destroy one of their man-made tools that they had, that they created, that they no longer have no use for. Simple. We don't deal in religion. We deal in King James 16:11 Holy Bible, in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, but this is the word of the Most High and His prophets and His Son. It's not a book of religion, it's a book of laws, commandments and statutes and culture and way of life and prophecy. It says, our agents will be taken from the higher as well as the lower ranks of society, from among the administrative class who spend their time in amusements, editors, printers and publishers, booksellers, clerks and salesmen, workmen, coachmen, lackeys, etc. So their agent is going to come from all walks of society. Protocol number 18, measures of secret defense, observation of conspiracies from the inside, overt secret defense, the ruin of authority, secret defense of the king of the Jews, mystical prestige of authority, arrest on the first suspicion. It says, we have compelled the rulers to acknowledge their weakness in advertising overt measures of secret defense, and thereby we shall bring the promise of authority to destruction. Which is what they did. Protocol number 19. The right of presenting petitions and projects, sedition, indictments of political crimes, advertising of political crimes. It says, if we do not permit any independent dabbling in the political, we shall, on the other hand, encourage every kind of report or petition with proposals for the government to examine into all kinds of projects for the amelioration of the condition of the people. This will reveal to us the defects or else the fantasies of our subjects, to which we shall respond either by accomplishing them or by a wise rebutment to prove the short sight of one who judges. Protocol number 20, financial program, progressive tax, stamp progressive taxation, exchequer, interest-bearing papers and stagnation of currency, methods of accounting, the abolition of ceremonial displays, stagnation of capital, currency issues, gold standard, standard of cost of working manpower, budget, state loans, 1% interest, industrial shares, rulers of the goyim, courtiers and favoritism, Masonic agents. So that's what makes up protocol number 20. Yeah? So says, when we come into our kingdom, our autocratic government will avoid from a principle of self-preservation, sensibly burdening the masses of the people with taxes, remembering that it plays the part of father and protector. But as state organisations cost dear, it is necessary nevertheless to obtain the funds required for it. It will therefore elaborate with particular precautions the questions of equilibrium in this matter. So you can read through Protocol. It says, if you are aware that the gold standard has been the ruin of the states which adopted it, but it has not been able to satisfy the demands for money, the more so that we have removed gold from circulation as far as possible. And that's what they have done, because your currency used to be backed by the gold standard. The American dollar used to be backed by the gold standard up until 1971, when Nixon removed the gold standard from the American dollar, so they were then now to go and print money at will. Whereas before, they had to have the gold in the reserves to back the money, the money that they were printing. So they have, if they had 100 ounces of gold, they can go and print an equivalent 100 ounces worth of American dollars and put out there into the public for them to spend and use, because they had the gold standard to back it. But in 1971, Nixon removed that, which was obviously on the orders of who? The learned elders of Zion, who are ultimately who? The Illuminati. It says, a loan is an issue of government bills of exchange containing a percentage obligation commensurate to the sum of the loan capital. If the loan bears a charge of 5%, then in 20 years the state vainly pays away in interest a sum equal to the loan borrowed. In 40 years it is paying a double sum. In 60, treble. And all the while the debt remains an unpaid debt. There you go. So while you're paying the interest on that loan for 20 years, after 20 years you've paid back the equivalent of the loan, but the loan is still there. If it's a 40-year, then you're going to pay back twice the amount of what you borrowed on interest. And that's a system that they have in here today, which when I spoke about earlier was the indebtedness that they need to put the public in for them to be able to destroy the monetary system. Protocol number 21, internal loans, debit and taxes, conversions, bankruptcy, saving banks and renters, abolition of money markets, regulation of industrial values. It says, we shall replace the money markets by grandiose government credit institutions, the object of which will be to fix the price of industrial values in accordance with government views. These institutions will be in a position to fling upon the market 500 million of industrial paper in one day, or to buy up for the same amount. In this way, all industrial undertakings will come into dependence upon us. You may imagine for yourselves what immense power we shall thereby secure for ourselves, which is what they have done. When Obama wanted money the other day, went to the Federal Reserve and said, look, I need 2 trillion. They went, okay, let's get the printers on. And then they print 2 trillion worth of money, and they charge him, I don't know, say 1% interest on the money that they printed, and then they give it to him, and then the government now owes the Federal Reserve $2 trillion plus interest. And then where did the Federal Reserve get that money from? Out of thin air. They just printed it and gave it to the government, and then they charged them for it. So now the government's in debt for money that was printed out of thin air. But that's their whole plan. That's how they put governments and country in debt, because they control the whole money system. They control all the central banks, and every central bank is responsible for printing the money for that particular country. And there's only 2 countries that don't have a central bank. You know what countries they are? North Korea and Iran. 2 countries that they're trying to invade. Rule number 22. The secret of what is coming, the evil of many centuries as a foundation of future well-being, the area of power and its mystical worship. In our hands is the greatest power of our day, gold. In 2 days we can procure from our storehouses any quantity we may please. You hear that? In 2 days they can procure from their storehouses, not from their safes, but their storehouses. Storehouses is like where you store your grain and your crops and that. So can you imagine how big these storehouses are and how much gold they've got? They said within 2 days the Illuminati can procure from our storehouses any quantity we may please. It says, our authority will be glorious because it will be all-powerful, will rule and guide and not muddle along after leaders or orators, shrieking themselves hoarse with senseless words which they call great principles and which are nothing else to speak honestly but utopia. Our authority will be the crown of order, and in that is included the whole happiness of man, so they say. Demons, boy. Protocol number 23. Reduction of the manufacture of articles of luxury, small master production, unemployment, prohibition of drunkenness, killing out of the old society and its resurrection in a new form, the chosen one of the Most High. And Protocol 24, you know what Protocol 24 is? Confirming the roots of King David. And they could never confirm that because none of them go back to the tribe of Judah. Training of the king, setting aside the direct heirs, the king and the three of his sponsors. The king is fate, irreproachability of exterior morality of the king of the Jews. In our day, all the governments of the entire world are consciously or unconsciously submissive to the commands of this great super government of Zion, which are these Zionists, these Khazar Jews, yeah? Because all the bonds and securities are in its hands. You hear that? Because remember, government issues bonds to get a loan. So it's like an IOU it gives you, and then you loan in that money. And that IOU says, if I don't pay that money, then you can take X amount of property. It's like a secured loan against your house. Like you get a loan against your house, if you don't pay back the loan, they take the house. Same thing. You don't pay back the loan, they take your country. So it says, in our day, all the governments of the entire world are consciously or unconsciously submissive to the commands of this great super government of Zion, because all the bonds and securities are in its hands. For all countries are indebted to the Jews for sums which they will never be able to pay. All affairs, industries, commerce, diplomacy are in the hands of Zion, which are the so-called Jews. It is by means of its capital loans that it has enslaved all nations, which I said to you earlier. By keeping education on purely materialistic lines, the Jews have loaded the Gentiles with heavy chains with which they have harnessed them to their super government. It says, he that has ears, let him hear. And it is only now, when I fear it may be too late, that I have succeeded in publishing my work, which is this book basically they're talking about. So just cap up on that, and I'll just quote you one scripture from the Bible. Okay. This is Revelations chapter 12. We'll start at verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he has but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times a half a time from the face of the serpent. Then the woman that the great eagle is taken, the woman represents the true Israelites, the children of Israel. Yeah? So when it says, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness and into her place where she is nourished for a time and times a half. That was us taking all our slave ships into slavery, where we spent over 350 years, 400 years in slavery in the Americas, because this great eagle, which represents the Americas, were the ones that had to feed us, clothe us, and house us during that slavery time. But like I said to you, when it says woe, that means destruction to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil, which is the Illuminati, the devil is who? The protocols of the learned elders of Zion.